semester.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am BorderWise and welcome back to From the Depths Most Wanted, where we explore the most dangerous, powerful, and annoying craft in the video game From the Depths. Creative property of Nick Smart and Brilliant Skies Limited. In any case, so as you probably have already extrapolated from the title and thumbnail of this video, today we are doing a much requested entry, and by much requested I mean at least one person has requested it. I've forgotten their name, as I always do. The Tyrannic, which is a 50-point godly class twin guard ship. And I am going to say straight up, I hate this thing. I hate fighting it, I hate looking at it, I hate that it exists. I dislike this craft intensely for the reason I just said. So, and that is aside from the fact that it's a godly class craft and it's hard to deal with. So, this is one of those craft that in theory, if you describe it, it should be reasonably straightforward to deal with, right? Because it's got a certain list of features, it's got a certain list of weaknesses, and that should be easy to exploit, right? In practice, this thing is obnoxiously hard to put down, and no matter what you do, it's very time-consuming to destroy. You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't with this craft. So, let's get into it. First up, you will notice that it has got a lot of sub-vehicles on it. It's got, on this central turret here, it's got these two massive sub-vehicle turrets, each one with 4 500mm guns. 2 of them firing 8-meter shells, and the other 2 firing 4-meter shells. And then it's got these 4 orbiting shields back here, which is quite a cunning design. It is also incredibly cheesy, and whoever designed this thing, I salute you for your genius, but also I want to reach through the internet and slap you. So it's got sub-vehicles. It is basically, that's the kind of cheese this thing rolls with, is sub-vehicles and repairing sub-vehicles. I just noticed I should have disabled Steam. Damn it. Oh well, too late. In any case, blah blah blah. So what is in these guns? So these guns are very annoying. They've got pretty thick armor on them, so... And I say thick, it's not really that thick. So you see here we have a layer of heavy armor and a layer of metal. It's basically heavy armor boxes filled with guns and a lot of engines back here, because it actually has quite strong shields. Actually, if I do this now, you will see that on this particular thing... I think that's what I'm looking at. Jeez. It's hard to tell. I haven't played with sub-vehicles enough. So it's got ammo right on the sides here, which is aim point spoofing. It's got them on the sides, and this thing moves around a lot as the turret turns. So if you aim for this, aim for the actual guns, and use aim point spoofing, you're going to have a very miserable time. And there's a lot of gun in here, so... Here is the 4-meter ones. The 4-meter shells are on the outside, and then the 8-meter ones are in the middle. And as for the ammunition they use, where are we? Yeah, here's the 4-meter one. So it has a whopping big frag shell. So, these are all 500mm. So big scary frag head with a lot of frag, like 280 frags, which means that each fragment, it's capped at 60, so each fragment does a huge amount of damage. And it's got just straight up high explosive warhead, 6,000 explosive damage a pop. And that's just the smaller guns. The bigger ones are worse. So here we have... What the hell? Oh, here's another 4-meter one. I think that this thing has body mix. Okay, so this is a straight up disruptor conduit, popping shields. Here we have an 8-meter one, which is just a giant high explosive warhead, this is very inefficient, by the way. I know there's people in the audience who look at shells like this and they they start sputtering and they start choking on their cups of tea, because you'd think twice as much warheads means twice as much damage. No, there's severe diminishing returns for high explosive warheads on APS past 3, so this is not an efficient shell right here, But the Tyrannic doesn't care, because this is overall not an efficient craft at all. It's one of the reasons I hate it. It offends my delicate sensibilities. Now, where's that other 8-meter shell? It's got 2. Ah, here's the other one. The other one is a absolute monster of a shaped charge shell. Which, yeah, this one's scary because it's got a particulate count of 199. So this really shreds the insides of craft. Very irritating. And this is a far more efficient shell because, as far as I'm aware, the diminishing returns for stacking things behind a shaped charge or squash head are way less harsh. So this is a scary shell, and it's full of scary shells. So it's spitting out frag, high explosive, disruptor, heat, and even more high explosive. So these guns hurt a lot when they hit. So yeah, that's that. It's also got little autocannons in marked contrast, which are basically just decoration, because the way they're arranged, like, I've never worried about these things. Like, they're just not particularly threatening. They're here, I guess, for decoration and for some kind of defense against a smaller craft. They really don't seem to do much, so I wouldn't worry about the little autocannons. It does have a crap ton of missiles and torpedoes, though. So here, immediately, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 16, and 16. So 32 missiles already stuck in here, and these are all just straight up fragmentation missiles. They're not particularly fast, they're not particularly agile, but there are a lot of them, and they fire straight forward. And what else? So, also under here we have a lot of torpedoes, lots of explodey torpedoes, lots of EMP torpedoes. Interestingly, in the same torpedo system, some of them are pure EMP and some of them are pure explosive. Like, whoever did this painstakingly went and swapped each one individually, which is why this craft, it is not a noob design, it is not a noob craft. I want to emphasize that right now. Whoever made this clearly knew what they were doing, but it feels like it, because this is what players new to the game often do. They rely on repair spam, more on that later, and they rely on just more, building bigger, rather than building more efficiently. So, that's what that reminds me of. It has even more torpedoes here in the front, which are gigantic, and similar thing, alternating between high explosive and EMP. So there's an EMP, there's a high explosive. I should just show you it. So right there, whoop, you can see they're alternating between each other like that. So yeah, lots of that, lots of that. It has a crap ton of shields too. This whole thing is incredibly expensive. It is, well, that number right there, 579,082 materials in total. That's including all the sub-vehicles. And the sub-vehicles alone, these turrets are 80k each. These little orbiting things are the only cheap thing, but even them, despite the fact that they are nothing, these things are just armor plate. They have a mainframe and an origin block and a little light on them, and everything else is metal and heavy armor. So this is really just a block shots right here. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so it has a lot of shields as well. It's another noob thing. This is just ugly. The people who like aesthetics in the audience are looking at this and they're just throwing up their mouths right now. But already I'm going off on a tangent. So you see there's lots of shields all over the place, and this thing has not quite full, but very close to full shield cover, and this is another thing I hate. Like, I know this works fine, but I hate doing this myself. So this craft is the anti-BorderWise in many, many ways. It's as bad as the Retaliator, or the Perforator for that matter. And I should mention as well, I should probably turn off those shields, is that these guns also have shields. They have strength 5 shields over here. And so the guns are shielded as well. So when this thing is pointing straight at something, that's the kind of shields you're looking at. So lots of power used. Very hard to kill this thing with kinetics, because it's just got, look at this nonsense. So 1, 2, 3. That's already 3 layers of shields, and if a shell wants to arc into the middle there, it's hitting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers of shields. So very well shielded. Well, at least it's got a lot of shields. Not sure about well. It doesn't have that insane butterfly pattern that our good friend Hikari likes to do, which I don't know who the hell made this thing. I don't know. Whoever they did, they liked shields, or at the very least had the patience to put shields all over this thing. I'm gonna fix you as well. You as well over here. It is shaped in quite a lovely way. This isn't Subscriber Craft Review. What am I talking about? The aesthetics don't matter. This thing's annoying. Yeah, so already this thing is hard to kill and annoying. It's got a lot of stuff. The most annoying thing about it is like this is one of those craft that the Twin Guard unfortunately have quite a lot of, and that is repair tentacle spam. So around here you see there's a lot of repair tentacles. Lots and lots of them. There's 15 of them right here, which is a lot. Like, usually a craft, if it wants to repair something else, 2 or 3 does the trick. This thing has a lot of them. I think it has more elsewhere as well. And if I jump onto this guy, 4, I believe that this also has repair tentacles tucked away in it. Assuming I can find... Yep, there they are. There they are, so these guys have 8 as well. No, they have 9. Blasted. And so, yeah, what happens is that when a craft is aiming for the ammunition, which, by the way, is back here, it's got a lot of shields to get through, and shells tend to hit, well, anything really, not just shells, tends to hit these orbit shields, which then immediately get repaired not only by the main craft, but also by these turrets. Because sub-vehicles can repair each other, they can't repair the main craft they're attached to, because back in the day, that was absolute horseradish. And if these guns get damaged, which they often do, I find, the main craft just repairs them almost immediately. So it's a repair spammer. It is a hulking big, expensive repair spammer, and you might have noticed it carries a stupid amount of materials. It has 224,000 materials. So this is like me back in the day. It's a material hog, because these turrets can get blown up multiple times in a fight. They're 80k each, so it's regularly just devouring materials like crazy. Unfortunately, since it's a faction craft, it has basically infinite materials and takes a long time to run out, even under constant fire. It is also a lag fest as a direct result, because it's a big craft. Well, altogether it's big, so the main craft itself is just under 8,000 blocks, which isn't that big, but then you add in 2 of these guys, which are 2,300 each. That's already put it at roughly 12,000, and then it's got 4 of these guys, which is just adding just enough to put it at... I just forgot the numbers I was talking about, but it's a lot of blocks, and they're moving, and they interact with each other, and it's a gigantic pain in the butt. And it's also got thick armor, so once you get past the orbit shields and the regular shields, it's got a lot of armor. So right at the front here we have... This whole thing is very compact. It's a brick. It is got pretty much no empty internal space at all. It is just solid structural material. There's the odd air gap in here, but it's very tightly packed. It's engines and armor and other stuff. The only real air gap's right here. I have no idea why this is even here. It's just a space. It's a wee space for stuff. I think actually, yeah, it's space to put shields. And that's pretty much it, really. Over here, you also have its tiny air gap. Tiny. It's not that tiny, I guess. It doesn't even have air pumps in this thing. That's how little the Tyrannic cares. It doesn't care. Well, it has 1 air pump. See? See how annoying this thing is? I can't even talk about it without making me looking like a fool. But lots of heavy armor as well. This front right here has stacked heavy armor all along it. And multiple layers in here and around there. 3 layers of metal on the sides. And more stacked heavy armor right at this crucial layer, which is filled with ammunition processors. Can we just appreciate for a second just how many ammo processors this thing has? It carries hardly any ammunition. It's almost run out of fuel. I just realized this. This thing's almost run out of fuel just by sitting here. So, looking at all this, it has so much ammo processors just to keep everything firing. It is a wasteful craft. It just is. Very wasteful. Big injector and it's just wasteful, wasteful, wasteful. This is the American military would look at this thing and go like, oh, hang on a minute, this thing is actually using too much fuel. So, yeah, thick armor. It's also got decent EMP proofing because... Damn it. There we go. So you notice the surge protectors all strung along through it. It also has blocks of heavy armor, which isn't foolproof EMP protection, but it does tend to soak it up if it gets hit by it. So where are we? We're around here. Just lots and lots of... It's just block spam. I hate it. Hate it. It's even got a double layer of heavy armor around the ammunition on the sides here. No, not double, triple. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of armor, 3 of which is heavy armor. This is a ridiculous craft. It is very, very silly. But effective, cannot deny. Jeez. Good EMP proofing. And one of the most annoying things about this craft is, as I said before, you are damned if you do, and you are damned if you don't. Because you aim for these guns first, they get repaired. But if you aim to... Yep, okay, I'll spawn in another one. Because this one's run out of fuel. It's so wasteful. Hate it. Hate it. I live in a country which is at least trying to be environmentally friendly, and there the Tyrannic just burned through, I think, an entire oil deposit just while sitting there. Fat, greedy bastard. I'm tired and hot, you might have guessed. Bloody hell, look how fast it's going through the fuel. Jeez, okay. What were we talking about? What? Oh, yes, so... Before I get onto that, I want to talk about... It's also got a whole bunch of missile interceptors, and down here, it has torpedo interceptors as well. Right here, in fact. So, these things get flung off when torpedoes are detected, or so I believe. Sure. Yep, yes they do. So, if there are missiles or torpedoes... Which isn't great. This thing really should be set to just torpedoes, but A, this thing probably hasn't been updated in a while. But yeah, it's got those as well, so it's not actually that easy to kill with torpedoes. More on the missiles later, hint hint. But, if you pop one of the weakest point of this thing is right here. It's this turret, which is very well armored, by the way. This is essentially solid, heavy armor all the way through, with an air gap in it just to mock anybody using heat shells. If this part gets popped, and by popped I mean these things right here, the tractor beams, this is one of the very few weak points on this card. If this gets popped, just as a demonstration, the guns fall off, and it can actually capsize the whole thing. Now you might think this is a weakness, and it is. But what tends to happen is that the entire craft sinks to the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, I mean the entire thing. The entire damn thing. And this is... Damn it, someone else is... No. Thank you. The entire damn thing sinks, and if you haven't destroyed the torpedo interceptors on it, it just takes such a long time to destroy. This is not a thing that makes it strong. This is a time waster. It just sinks down to the bottom of the freaking ocean, and the worst part is, if you actually destroy the mothership entirely, so right here, destroy the thing entirely, it means that all of the subbed objects sink down to the bottom of the ocean and have to be destroyed very slowly by torpedoes, because nothing else will do it. Nothing else can do it, really. Just gonna pause right there. And what's worse is that once the mothership is destroyed, what happens is, at least in the designer, and probably in the campaign as well, what you get is a giant hunk of resources just sitting there on the bottom of the ocean, and that these sub-objects can use to keep repairing each other. And it's a huge amount, so what you get is, well, not quite that, about... Oh my god. How is that more materials than what the craft actually costs? That's just weird. Anyway, so it's not quite that much, but it is a lot, and these guys just will sit and repair each other endlessly until they finally run out of materials. And considering that each one of these guys can hold 11,000, not these guys so much, they can't hold anything, and that they can keep siphoning from the stockpile that's just left on the ocean floor, it takes so long to destroy. It really does. Like, if the devs decided to remove this craft tomorrow from the game, I wouldn't even bat an eyelid. And it's a pushover if you remove the repair tentacles. I haven't done that yet, but I'm sorely tempted to, just for therapeutic reasons. But yeah, this craft is very, very, very obnoxious to fight, unless you make a craft just as expensive as it, or even more so. Now, weaknesses! So, let's respawn the Tyrannic again. Boop! So, this craft does have clear weaknesses. As I said before, it is not all-powerful, and in theory at least, it has quite a number of things you can take advantage of if you want to kill it. And the first one is no hit-scan weaponry. So, it is armed with missiles, torpedoes, big guns, and small guns. If you have something very fast, so say we do something like this. Where am I? I don't actually want to be in here. Help. Oh well. I guess I'm stuck. So if we spawn in, and yes, we're doing it again, we're spawning in our old friend, the Hypatos. Assuming it moves, the Hypatos has a rotten habit of not going fast until it's at the right altitude. Can you hurry the balls up, please? Seriously? Seriously? Well, not the Hypatos, I guess, because it is broken. It was working the other day. The game, in case you're wondering, isn't in a great state at the moment. It is far better than it was, but a number of craft are broken, and including some of mine, actually. I don't even know what happened. I messed with them slightly too much. So if we, for instance, spawn in something very fast and annoying, so what's fast and annoying? Does the tachyon still work? It does! Hello, hello. Are you going very fast? Yes, you are! So the Tyrannic struggles quite a bit with very fast targets. It's one of those ships. It's one of those ships that's designed pretty much as a ship killer. It doesn't do well with craft that go very fast. Those are fast shells, but it's whiffing a bit. And also, if you go have a look at its guns over here, you will notice that it has 3x3 Omni Mantlets, so it doesn't aim up well. It does not deal well with craft that get on top of it. It's a power bottom, in other words. Sorry. I just realized my guy isn't even moving. See, right here you can see those orbit shields going to work and just getting repaired. It also has smoke, I failed to mention. So lasers aren't a particularly fast way to kill it. Okay, that's enough out of the tachyon. So, it does not do well against small, fast craft. It doesn't have hit-scan weaponry. It's not like its annoying friend, the Majestic, which has a lot of hit-scan weaponry. These two actually are kind of hand-in-hand in terms of, like, what... Excuse me. Just had lunch. These two are kind of siblings, in a way. Well, one is Eros and the other Sanatos, so yeah, I guess that is lore for you. They're siblings. Or lovers, I guess. I'm getting off track. Anyway, so no hit scan weaponry for the Titanic. And the main guns have trouble getting through a LAM system. One of them has smoke. God damn it, where is it? One of these stupid guns has smoke on them, and I forget which one. One of them does, one of them does. I swear to G, one of them does. One of them does. Come on, where are you? Where are you, you bastard? Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. There we go, there we go. So the shaped charge heads also have a smoke warhead on them, which means if you want to use a LAM system against this thing, you need to, well, basically be careful and try and have it on a craft that's moving fast enough so that the smoke falls off it. So, that works quite nicely. I'll demonstrate that in a minute. And because these are very big shells, and right now, the best job for LAMs at the moment, because missiles have too much health, cram shells have too much health, they're very, very good at popping large APS shells, which move fast, but have lousy health, and just, they get popped immediately. So, yeah, that's a thing. And the missile interceptors, these things, you'll notice they fire straight up, so you might have spotted it a bit when the Hypartus and the Tachyon was in here. They have a great deal of trouble dealing with missiles coming in at any angle but straight down. So, if we destroy everything, and we hide under the ocean, like the cunning people we are. So if I spawn the Tyrannic right here, and I spawn one of my favorite missile-using things, way over here. Incidentally, like, nuking things from space works on most things, so that's not what I'm trying to demonstrate right here. I'm just going to spawn in one of these guys. Where are you? There you are. Scarlet Dawn, where you go, lad. Don't shoot yourself, because I know you like to do that. Did I spawn you too low? I think I did. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. So immediately you notice these little interceptors are firing off to this thing. The Tyrannic is very vulnerable to large missiles because large missiles tear through armor like it's nothing, shields can't stop them, and the Tyrannic actually has pretty poor missile defense, so missile swarms work very well. And what tends to happen is that these big turrets on the side here act as kind of a missile umbrella, but that unfortunately that means they get cooked off really easily. So it has no ammo ejectors, the guns aren't spaced away from each other in any way, so one good hit, if it breaches the armor, the entire thing goes up, or at least half of it. Nope, never mind, all of it. All of it goes up. And that's immediately like something like 80,000 materials that the Tyrannic must then consume in order to repair it. You are not... okay, there you go. And see, I should have actually used this guy as demonstration for how fast craft run rings around this. Large missiles are actually very good, assuming you can afford the ammo costs. Goes down here, and it tends to hit the same turret over and over again, which isn't a bad thing, really. That is one way to deal with the Tyrannic, is just keep putting out enough hurt so it runs out of material. So it's already down a fair amount, so it burns through it. You can see how fast it burns through it just in repairs. It's gone through several hundred while I'm talking right here. Also, yeah, like missile decoys, well, decoys, wrong thing. Countermeasures are a very good idea. You don't have to go super atmospheric to dodge things, by the way. I just like doing that. And one more missile round for the road, and... so yeah, I heartily recommend using big missiles against the Tyrannic because it just doesn't know how to deal with them. You can also bomb it. So, if we just settle down... ooh, there's a little component that fell off ages ago. The thing also wastes ammo by firing torpedo interceptors when only missiles are in the air, so there is that. You can just make it waste ammunition and thus materials just by chucking missiles at it. It does get a pass on that though, because I think that was a feature added back when there wasn't like a separate feature for that. Like there wasn't a differentiation in ACBs between missiles and torpedoes. But never mind that. So the main guns are, well, as you saw just now, the main guns get popped pretty easily and are very expensive to repair. It's also slow, so if we spawn in our friend the Titanic, well, not Titanic, the Tyrannic, it sinks like the Titanic. As it gets, it also sometimes damages itself when spawning in and does weird stuff like this. So it's not especially fast, it cruises along at just under 12 meters per second. Okay, never mind. It's getting faster. It's going up to about 12.5 meters per second, so it's not particularly fast. Which means that, and wait for it, so it's slow, it has no LAM system, it doesn't have any form of laser munition defense, which is rather, frankly it's unusual for a godly. But because the Titan has a terrifying LAM system. The Titan, in case you don't know, is this guy. It's the original scary thing of the Twin Guard. This thing's more expensive, doesn't have one, which means that crams do a number on this guy. Crams are one of the best ways of killing this thing, assuming you make good crams, and the craft I'm going to be showing off later doesn't really have them. I'm going to retire that damn thing, probably. Because crams are more likely to get through shields than advanced cannons, and crams can actually penetrate armor this thick. Pen depth crams are amazing. EMP crams also give a massive EMP jolt, and that is really good. I'm getting ahead of myself again. And, yeah, it doesn't aim up well. It is also compact, so, damn it. The little air gaps right in the front here are few and far between. From the sides and from above, it's all just solid, so big heat shells, they rip up the insides pretty well. Compact craft always have that problem when dealing with heat. And also HESH, so if you have a big HESH shell exploding in here, it has no spore liner, so this inside bit gets shredded and opens up the entire interior of the craft. And big hollow point shells, particularly hollow point high explosive, also tends to peel the armor off quite nicely. I'm getting ahead of myself again. What is it with me in these notes? It's also vulnerable to suicide craft, so keeping in mind that what's a good suicide craft? Dragon's Claw, that doesn't work at the moment. That's not that. Planes, no. Great talent, So if you do something wacky like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ICBMs, it's not very good. Those autocannons are not very good at stopping small craft that want to get close. Admittedly, ICBMs, I don't know what's wrong with them as of right now, but they're not behaving the way they should. But they're already too close. And actually a decent suicide craft will really hurt this guy. Yeah, shoot him more, that's a good idea. See, they're not detonating. In fact, they just hijacked one of the guns. Nope, there we go. So that's 4% off right there. There we go. Yeah, so suicide craft are a pretty good way of dealing with the Tyrannic, simply because it doesn't have flak, it doesn't have timed frag, it doesn't have little simple lasers or anything like that. It can't really handle them at all. Can't even see what's going on anymore. So yeah, that hurt it, and armor is only limited defense against little suicide craft. And yep, it just blew up the main turret, I think. That was pretty spectacular. Whoa! Yeah, that happens sometimes. If you manage to blow up the main turret and one of the guns, it gets flung into space. And it's really good, because then it means it's dies before... Oh, please die before you get back in repair range. Yay! Go to hell. Woohoo! So yeah, so that's the weaknesses of this thing. Now, how do you survive it? Well, we've already shown off a little bit about that. There's two broad ways of doing it. The first is dodge. So move fast enough so it can't hit you, as demonstrated by the Tachyon and the Sawback just earlier. And the second way is a mixture of countermeasures and a good LAM system. Or at least a decent LAM system. So excuse me, again. Oof. Gah. Duh. So if we do that again, is the game paused? It's not paused. Damn it, let's do that again. I want this to be a fair fight. Or at least a fair-ish fight. So, the way you deal with it is to stop the torpedoes and missiles killing you, have missile and torpedo decoys, or countermeasures rather. So these days you would use the new radar and sonar signal processors on a missile that is of suitable size and length in order to stop it. And for the cannons, you use a LAM system. So I'm going to spawn in one of my ships that I spent a long time perfecting this on, or at least making decent enough. This ship, by the way, has issues. It doesn't steer properly anymore. I don't know what I did wrong, but working on it as we speak. In any case, it is still in a fit enough state to demonstrate how to stop those cannons. So, trundling along. There's the first thing. Oh my god, what's wrong with you? Okay. So those shells didn't even hit the water. Those were all stopped by the LAM system on this thing. And please don't capsize. There we go. Boom, 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 boom. And because it's got party mix ammunition on the Tyrannic, not all the shells that get fired have smoke in them, which means there's gaps in the smoke cover, which means the LAMs can pop them. So the LAMs nodes here, LAMs nodes up here, lots of LAMs in here, so you can run through LAMs, big LAMs over here, and LAMs over here, big LAMs. So use your story with the LAM system, assuming it doesn't get updated all to hell and rendered annoying before. Very good at popping big APS shells. And a decoy like this is a single large missile, by the way. It's a big one with a radar signal processor on it, and you can see from a long way away these missiles just get pulled straight up into space. And similar thing for the torpedoes. So these torpedoes aren't even aiming at where the ship is anymore because where is it? It got dropped somewhere over here. So, this is again, a large missile with a sonar signal processor on it and a ballast tank. So it's just going to sit here and a whole bunch of torpedoes are going to come and kiss it and accomplish nothing. Meanwhile, the Tyrannic hasn't suffered any damage, which leads me to believe that the first volley missed. Okay, wait, never mind. Okay, first volley didn't miss, it just didn't do anything good or interesting. So when I say good crams, I mean better crams than the one on here, because frankly, crams with this barrel length and all that stuff are just not very good. See, where? Let's see over here. Yep. So we have a whole host of torpedoes successfully pulled over here. And also, the Basilisol right here has a very shallow draft. There's not much of it in the water. Another way to avoid torpedoes. And another way you can accomplish this is that you can have a submarine that is effectively torpedo-proof. So you have similar arrangements right there, but just have it under the water and have it constantly spit out sonar decoys. And you should be able to, whoop, let's try and catch this in the act. Here, big volley of APS shells. Nope, 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 nope. They can get close. Aim point spoofing is also your best friend here. And missiles get pulled. Not enough. So yeah, that needs work. And the Bastosaur is about to eat a whole bunch of crap from all those missiles. Oh god. Doesn't always work well. Ah, well. What can you do in a little canoe? And see what I'm talking about, this thing's actually getting too far away to actually do decent damage, so. And here you see, even crap crams can have a slow but steady effect, I believe. What's happening here? It's peeling it like an onion. Okay, so there is that. So, how do you kill it? So, we've already covered, let's spawn it in again just because. We've already covered missiles. Missiles work very well against this thing. Except occasionally for bombs dropped straight down. I think that is what this this is actually intended to defend against, because this thing's vulnerable to bombs, and I will demonstrate that by being very cheeky and spawning something right on top of it. So, aircraft, Nazem, and spawn you right here. This is a tiny little bomber, drops little small missiles. And smart bombs in particular come in at angles that mean they hit the guns on this thing first. Now, those are small missiles. You can imagine what'll happen if the thing uses bigger ones. Please don't die. Oh god. Ha! You missed. The missiles also tend to suck at hitting craft which are fast and maneuverable, because they fire at the wrong angle for that. So you see, these bombs are getting through just fine. Whee! So this is one particular angle that works quite well, is get right on top of it. It's a little bit like a front-sider in that way. It's got pretty terrible anti-aircraft capabilities. So that's one way to do it, is missile spam. Use lots of EMP. I recommend using large missiles because this is an expensive beast, and so spare no expense in trying to kill it. And if you want to kill it with torpedoes, try and hit it from multiple angles, because, oh my god, you are a legend at dodging those, mate. So, the little torpedo popper things, they spit out from the sides here, and they rather wastefully fire when missiles get dropped on them. They spit out from the side, so your best angle to hit this thing with torpedoes is from the front and from underneath, because they spit out and they can miss there. And a constant stream of torpedoes is better than just one big volley. So there is that. You can torpedo this thing to death. In fact, you kind of have to have torpedoes in order to kill this thing, because inevitably you are going to have to torpedo something, be it the main craft, assuming it survives that long, or its annoying little sub-vehicles that sink down to the bottom of the ocean, and torpedoes are the only real way to deal with it. Cram cannons! So crams work quite well at this. My craft, as I was using before, the Bastosaur, doesn't actually have the best cram cannons for the job. You need big ones, you need big armor-penetrating ones, or big EMP ones. They do a number on this thing. In fact, this whole thing is just, I highly recommend EMP and lots of it. Because if you shut down the repair tentacles on the main craft, it means you can kill the guns reasonably easily and stop them from doing that stupid thing where they sink to the bottom of the ocean and repair each other. That's very important. And with crams, or with all weapons, right, do not use aim point. Do not have your craft aim for mainframes or ammo, because they'll aim for this bit, which has orbiting shields that just constantly get repaired. And just that is going to be a tremendous waste of time. So use random block selection, which isn't a hell of a lot better, but it's better than that. And now, advanced cannons. You can actually kill this thing with pretty much anything if you know what you're doing. So advanced cannons, as I said, use heat shells and also disruptor shells, and go big. Go really big. You want stuff that'll break through all those shields and break through all that armor, and in terms of sheer DPS, big shells are better. So we're talking between 400 to 500 millimeters. And, like, because this craft doesn't have any form of laser munition defense, you can have massive volleys of big APS shells. And particularly, you can go mental with the disruptors, which normally you can't. And you don't need to cover this thing in smoke at all. Lasers! How do you laser this thing? Well, if you are going to laser this, I will demonstrate that right now, how to laser. How do you laser this thing? The way you laser this thing is don't aim for the place that laser should go. So I'm going to be a naughty, naughty person and spawn the Tachyon again. I'm going to spawn her on my team, because I've got orders for you, mister. So, first grab Tachyon. Oh god, no, 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 no! No, it's all gone wrong. I'll wait for these missiles to get out of here. Get out of here, missiles. No one likes you. Go away. Go on. Shoo. Thank you. Okay, let's try that again. Tyrannic. And down here is on my team. Not the Terawatt. Tachyon. Which doesn't have as impressive lasers as anything else, but that's... Oh no. So, you, my laddo, need to aim not for the... Whoa, hello. Impressive. So, spawning it right on top of it is... Aha, actually, yeah, that's exactly what I want you to do. The turrets have no missile defense, have no laser defense at all. So you see that it's quite happily been activated. The smoke is covering the rear of this craft. It doesn't have any laser smoke defense on these big guns itself, so you can just shred them to infinity. Pop them. Assuming you're doing things right, just keep popping them quite nicely. The Hypatos would have been a better demonstration of this, but oh well. So it might seem like we're not accomplishing much here. We are accomplishing more than if we were aiming here, because it'd be just endlessly repairing and covered in smoke. Why are you aiming funny? So having a secondary laser or any form of hit point weapon targeting these big guns can actually be a pretty good idea. Because as you can see, it is burning through materials. I actually should have used something stronger than the Tachyon for that. Oh well. In any case, so yeah, aim for the main guns because, like, the rear is covered in smoke, and that's not going to work very well. As for particle cannons, which I'm not going to demonstrate because the amount of actually good particle cannons that aren't ridiculous piercing shotguns in the faction craft, you can count on the fingers of one foot. I highly recommend, if particle cannons are your thing, big EMP, well not a big EMP particle, just EMP particle cannons for support, because then you can fry all the shields on this thing, you can fry the repair tentacles, and your life will just be a lot easier. So, that's basically it for the Tyrannic, is drown it in EMP and missiles and just stuff, really. And just bring your torpedoes along. Just, even if you don't usually stick lots of torpedoes on your craft, you need it for this, because after a critical point in the fight, it's a lot like fighting a submarine. And that will do, I think. Look at you go. And now go away. And now, spawn you on my side again, and then I'm going to just... What am I going to do? I'm going to watch you sink is what I'm going to do. Oh, no. No, 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 no. That's the 5th time I've done that. That is very, very silly. I apologize. Tyrannic. 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 Oh, did you get hit by a missile? Oh, boo-hoo. Ay, ay, ay. Oh no! Critical! Where is it? Critical! No! I want to see this! Critical! Failure! So yeah, that is the... From the Death's Most Wanted, the Tyrannic. So, it's a pain in the ass, no matter what. Like, it's kind of like the sub-veal equivalent of the Erie. It's just annoying. It's just a really annoying craft. It's big, expensive, annoying. I hate it. So, yeah, that's about it. We're just gonna watch this guy flip over right now. So, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I will see you next time in From the Depths. Most Wanted. Farewell. Singularity will be done when it's fixed. Okay, bye-bye. Farewell.